Hey all, good afternoon. Thanks for joining me. I have a very important video today. It's regarding what Metropolitan Neophytos most recently said in his latest homily last Sunday, on also what's going on in our country that is marching us, the people who are doing this are marching us quickly and trying to the Antichrist rule. I don't usually talk about the Antichrist, but in this case, I think it's important that we keep an eye, as we know, of what's going on. And then I will share some more of Metropolitan Neophytos on what he has been saying over past few years and wrapping it all up and what's happening now and what we need to do during all this that's coming and after. So we're going to start with, first off, the information on Metropolitan Neophytos. Metropolitan Neophytos of Morphu warns 2026 could be year of global conflict. And as you know, we've been saying 2026-27, it's kind of the time, isn't it? Well, he says, we've entered a very dangerous year. He's referencing analyses and prophecies suggested 2026 could be the year of great conflagration. It may be the supreme and prophesied year of world war, he states. So as major powers prepare for a final confrontation. This was reported by Pentapost Gamma. He speaks openly about the danger of atmospheric contamination from nuclear weapons that the world powers are considering deploying. This is important right here. Since we don't correct ourselves through peace, we'll be corrected through a difficult operation. Now, on his site, or in his homily, it's actually surgery, but same thing. He says, God permits such trials due to humanity's impenitence and sins. He warned that all of creation and humanity will be tested in their faith and patience. So, he says he connected these looming military and political dangers to what he sees as spiritual failures within the church itself. In February 2024 interview, he explained how worldly powers fill the vacuum left by compromised church leadership. A serious problem in the church today is that synods, primates, and bishops don't always follow church guidelines, but often proceed from national interests. The policy of the ecumenical patriarch proceeds from national criteria. You see, this is a very big problem, the connection between the Orthodox faith and national consensus. The Russians have the same problem, the Serbs have the same problem, and where church decisions fail to convey the truth of Christ to the people, the Lord humbly provides an opportunity for politicians, the military, and economists to implement their own plans. Again, this all revolves around our repentance. Metropolitan Neophytos insisted that hierarchs must rise above personal and political interests and not, this is his quote, and not cooperate with the KGB, the CIA, or the Cypriot intelligence service to be an open person who relies on the Holy Gospel and the canons of the Orthodox Church. So, in any case, this is the first we've heard from Metropolitan Neophytos regarding any updates of predictions. For quite a while, he's been, he said that all the past few years, but he has made it more of an issue now, and we should, of course, be aware of this and keep that in mind, which I think most of us already figured this. We've been looking at this, but it's a really good thing to see the Metropolitan confirm what we all are seeing and feeling on this issue. Let me go back in for just a minute. He says this right here in his homily from last Sunday. He says, "We have entered a year, my dear fathers and brothers, very dangerous, as you understand. Even atheists, but intelligent analysts say it may also be the year of the great and prophesied world war." You can go to this channel, which I don't know, it's in Greek, but his whole homily is there. I'll put the link below in my description of this video. Now I want to, and I will get back to Metropolitan Neophytos at the end with all his advice and what needs to be done. I want to get into this state of the global powers, and then and those in power here in our country are really trying to march us toward an authoritarian state, and ultimately the rule of the Antichrist. And like I said, I don't usually talk about this, but things have been going on, and I felt like I really needed to share it. I will tell you that Metropolitan Isaiah, who was the Metropolitan for the Denver Archdiocese, GOARCH, Greek Orthodox Church Archdiocese in Denver, Metropolitan Isaiah was there for decades and decades. He retired a few years ago, a couple of years ago or so. He retired to a monastery. But he had said, a friend of mine from church told me this years ago, that the Metropolitan came to visit the church, and while he was doing his little talk, I'm not sure if it was the homily, it might have been, but the children were sitting in the front of the pew. They had all come to the front of the church and were sitting in the front pews to listen to his homily. And my friend remembers this distinctly, that she was sitting there and a few pews back listening. And Metropolitan Isaiah always talked about end times issues. That was just him. He was really in tune to that subject matter. She said he turned to the children and pointed at them. And these are small children, grade school. He pointed to them and said, "You will see the Antichrist." And this was in the early 1990s. So, take that as you will. That's just what he said. So we're going to, and he also said, in 2022, he also said that 2020 was the beginning of the last days. That was the last thing I remember hearing before he retired. So, just a little part I wanted to put in there for you so you understand this subject matter we're talking about here. I just wanted to throw that in because it fits into this subject. We know that things, what happened during the pandemic, the lockdowns, the mandates, how these people in power really didn't care about our health. It was more about control. It was more about testing to see if we would fall in line and do what they instructed. Unfortunately, many did. And this, mostly, we understand that there's few on the left, if you want to call it, a lot on the right, who recognize this and did not want to. They had their own reasons why they did not want to comply. Okay, because when you take away someone's free will, that's kind of going, it's basically going against God, because God's gift is free to us and we have the free will to choose what we want to do. And that's what happened during that period with that illness. And now we have the immigration issue. And I do agree with Kim Iversen that it is the same thing. It's just targeting now the people who are more on the right. And I just find it interesting that the people who did not fall for this during the lockdowns and the mandates are now have fallen into this trap of because it has to do with immigration, which we all don't want illegals in our country that are especially violent ones. I mean, yes, they should be deported, but how they're doing it is over the top, authoritative, and wrong, and it's not. It's the same thing, and I agree. That's what Kim said. It's the same thing as what happened with the illness, how it was all about power, and we need to recognize this. Now the powers that be have corralled both sides of people's perspectives, whether on the right or the left. They've now found a way to have control over both sides. I see it as that way too. Then I started thinking, wow, okay, the way this is going is definitely part of how there's going to be a spot for the Antichrist to come in with all the surveillance. Now, you remember that started the Patriot Act, the Snowden revealing the surveillance against the American citizens, and then we had the pandemic. We have now this, and it's like the powers that be who select who we are going to our candidates are going to be. Basically, that's the way I see it. They now have found a way. They switch back and forth, a Democrat in, a Republican in, and they now have figured out how to, like I said, control both sides. This seems to have been accomplished. It also, the surveillance has grown, as you know, with everything that's going on. We now have drones going over protesters. This came from the IDF, and since we had since the Izzies have such an influence on our country, it's kind of terrifying that a lot of these tactics are being used and being trained the same way, and it's turning into this. We're turning into like the West Bank and Gaza. You may disagree, but this is what I'm seeing. I'm going to show you just this short video from Kim's show. She's showing a video of the ADL guy, and I want to show you that. Also, there's the Palantir issue with that has a lot to do with technology and digital surveillance and all that. Social credit, as they called it. We worried about that in China, and now it's come here. So there's a lot of things that are escalating toward, I was listening to a program today, like 17 countries are trying to, 17 agencies in our government, they're trying to morph it into one so that they have power over everybody through these digital accessories. So they have like scanning through their phones, scanning people's retina, scanning people's faces. They say they're using this to find illegals, and I agree with Kim that who they have in the system are the American citizens. The illegals aren't in there, as far as we know, or if they are, there aren't many, because a lot of them don't want to be in the system, right? Because they're not legal. So there's a lot going on here, and I will get into it more after I show you this video.
So number one, we measure and track. Number two, we monitor and disrupt. We have a whole apparatus. I have 40 analysts working full time, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, monitoring extremists. We monitor them online.
What?
Social media, messaging apps, video games, cryptocurrency, podcasts, short form video, Wikipedia, LLMs. We monitor these people and we share the intelligence with the FBI. You saw last month, you heard about the thing that happened at Wilshire Boulevard Temple. Our analysts investigated what happened. They said they were Koreatown for Palestine, this group of people. They weren't. We were able to ascertain they were from a group called the Turtle Island Liberation Front. Turtle Island is how left-wing activists refer to the United States. They don't call it America, they call it Turtle Island, like the Iranians call it the Zionist entity, or they won't call it by its name. The Turtle Island Liberation Front, we gave them a whole dossier. What is her Turtle Island Liberation Front, what are their ideas, their goals? Who are they? We identified the people who were in the synagogue. This was on Wednesday, December the 10th. On Monday, December the 15th, this is going to ring a bell. Kash Patel announced they cracked a terror ring where they arrested 4 people who were planning New Year's Eve bombings. Turtle Island Liberation Front. At least one of the people I know for certain was in the building at Wilshire Boulevard Temple, vandalizing it and disrupting the event. So we're monitoring left-wing radicals like the DSA and the anti-war crazies and the pro-Palestine crazies. We're monitoring right-wing.
Oh yeah, it's crazy to be against wars, isn't it? We're all lunatics.
Extremists like white supremacists, armed militia groups. We're monitoring political Islamists and Christian nationalists, all of them. And then we train. We're the largest trainer of law enforcement in America, extremism and hate. We train 20,000 officers every year.
You train 20,000 officers every year, Kim says the same. She echoes that. She's like, oh, really? Yeah. This surveillance, again, it came out in 2013. And that's just grown. If you haven't seen the documentary A Good American about Bill Binney, who was part of the NSA, he was a great code breaker. He was in the NSA. He worked for the NSA for like 30 years. And they tried to bring him down when he was revealing the fact about their trailblazer replacing of his great called Operation, I think it was called Thin Thread. He had a great way of separating out innocent Americans in the network of this NSA spying thing going on with people. And it was a great program. It was brilliant. But then after the 9/11 thing happened, they brought in these group of people. Oh no, we're going to change it to trailblazers, which it basically spies on everybody. There is no way of protecting those who are innocent Americans. And this has been going on since then. And then, of course, as we said, Snowden covered this. He revealed it. So this is what's going on. And they're all everybody's a terrorist. They don't like what people are saying, then they're terrorists. That's the way I see it. So now 20,000 being trained on this every year. The whole thing of we're monitoring this. Yes, Kim showed how they're how the ICE are using their phones to scan people's faces. And they just stop people they don't even know, Sometimes they don't really know who these people are. There's problems with how they're bringing in people to ICE. She was reporting on that they used AI, and the AI was just looking for, officers and things like that, keywords. Even though some people were saying, "Oh, I'd love to be a police officer," so they bring in these people that have no clue, no background, and they just throw them into these programs. And also, it's important that this is where I come from as well. How I see it, Kim said, yes, you have the people that go in the military or in the police, that there's the first and foremost the patriots who want to do something good for the country and all that, of course. Then you have the families, as she said, people who have been in, military families. It's just part of their tradition. Then there's the people who, then there's some who are Hispanic, who believe in, the immigration thing because they came in. There's a lot of Hispanics, she said, coming in for ICE because they came in legally. They want this. They want that same thing. They don't want the illegals coming in because of the issue of taking jobs and everything, which is a valid concern and understandable. Then you have that other group, the power people. Like I've said, those who want to wield power. I've brought this up to friends who I've had arguments with over this. That you have to, when you give the green light, like Trump and Miller did a few months ago. Oh no, we're unleashing you. We're taking those constraints off you. Go out and do what you need to do. Well, that is green light for those who are power hungry and just want to go out and rule over others and be and because they get drunk on their power. That is the dangerous part. That is what happens. Now, I did see some judge in Minnesota has stopped these ICE raids. In any case, we'll see what happens. But the whole point of this is it's a very authoritarian practice. Things are going in that direction, and I'm saying the reason why the Antichrist is because globally this is happening, as you know, in Europe, especially like in the UK. We had a terrible thing like that in Australia during the pandemic. So it's not just here, but here it's just more shocking because we're supposed to have, our freedoms, our free speech, and all this, Well, that's not happening. So I'm going to finish. I think I said everything I wanted to say on that, but let's keep that in mind so that we aren't going against each other and realize this is about, if we look at this spiritually, we see that it's what it really is. I'm going to read you Metropolitan Neophytos, the kind man who runs that channel, the Metropolitan Neophytos homilies channel. I talked to him a couple years ago. I was actually able to edit a few of his transcripts that he was doing for, well, not transcripts. It was the subtitles. He wanted me to help clear up the subtitles so that it made sense and it was in proper English and all of that. I did a couple of them for him. He's a very nice man. And so we've had some exchanges of emails in the past. So I'm going to bring up his, he just posted something that's really important. It's kind of long, but it's important to share from Metropolitan Neophytos. Okay, so this is the third part, but he's sharing this. If Evgeny says, Your Eminence, if I understand this correctly, these Satanists, globalists, Freemasons, and others rushing to lead people into a new world order have their plans. That's exactly what's happening. But the Lord also has his own plans. It seems to me that he is trying to delay time so that we might be saved. Is that so? And then the Metropolitan says, Just as you said, you have my blessing, bravo, exactly as you said it. They are rushing to bring the greatest evil into the world, but the prayers of the righteous people on earth and the saints of heaven are pushing events back. They are postponing them. Saint Eumenius once told me this very thing when we were together at the airport in Kiev. Okay, there's the video for that in case you want to watch it. Okay, once within the very village, we are in Evriko, and the Panagia spoke the following to Stylianos Melanos, and this is about Cyprus. 1964, Stylianos, a great evil will befall Cyprus. Some of you in Cyprus must be mobilized to hold night prayers. In 10 years, a great evil will come to Cyprus. He told her, My Panagia, since the evil is destined to happen, why should I lose my sleep over it? And what did our humble Theotokos answer him? So that the evil may come less. Stylianos. Now, how many times have I said, we can change prophecies or we can push them back? And it's important to listen to these prophecies. This is the reason why we listen to prophetic warnings and prophecies of our saints, because we, the faithful, can ask God to lessen, and God will listen to our repentant prayers to lessen what is to come. Major point of what I keep saying in most of my videos. So let's go on. So he began to pray midnight until 3 in the morning inside the mill where he made flour. In 10 years the Turkish invasion occurred. So he says, when I meet people disposed to repentance, prayer, fasting, and vigilance, I help them as much as I can establish a stable routine of night life. i.e. night prayer. This is the greatest help we can offer to the entire world, regardless of religion, regardless of color. Very important. Helps the whole world. That, as we know, the nuns and monks do that every day, 24/7. Okay, basically. Evgeny says, Your Eminence, you have spoken with Erendissa Galactia. What did she tell you? What were her significant words or advice for us Orthodox Christians, and what did she warn us about, particularly concerning these times? The Metropolitan says, Thank you for this question. It is a very good one, for it is better not to speak on our own views, opinions, or concerns, but rather to share what the holy people have said, which is what I've been trying to do. As I have mentioned before, she told me this. Since God has given you the boldness, courage, and bravery, you must speak and call things clearly by their name. In this way, the well-intentioned people may live their repentance more powerfully so that evil may come less into the world. When others are silent, you must speak. There it is again. They live their repentance more powerfully so that evil may come may come less into the world. Yes, again, that's why we need to know what's going to happen. So that, we need to pray for the world all the time, and we need to be aware of these things. Saint Iakovos, Saint Porphyrios told me the same thing. They told me to start when I turned 50. I'm now 63, so I'm within my bounds. And then he asked what he should say to the world. And she talked about the filthy things, those 3 filthy things. Unrepentant abortions, unnatural sins, which take place both within marriage and outside of marriage, and which they will even enact into law, and witchcraft and Satan worship. And you can go watch this in the spiritual causes behind the unfolding evils according to the saints. That's that video. Therefore, in our days, we must have no doubt that all these people you so eloquently mentioned are promoting an agenda which aims to overthrow human morality and, above all, the ascetic morality of the Orthodox life. What is Cyprus, Greece, and Russia without orthodoxy? True. What is it? It's not much without it. All these leaders of the Western world have demonstrated their opposition to God and their satanic drive throughout the period of the V's. Okay, that's what I say for this. The V's and C19. We who lived through it must not forget. They put all human rights on ice. They endangered people's health and administered a V whose side effects were unknown even to the doctors. They locked the churches with the permission of the bishops. This is paramount. Do not venerate holy icons. Do not venerate holy relics to commune with the fear that we will catch a disease from Holy Communion. We have neighbors here who had advanced cancer and were undergoing chemotherapy. They said, we will not get V. When they went to the specialized cancer hospital for treatment, they were told, unless you get V, you have no right to enter and receive treatment. The people were forced to take 2 Vs, which within 2 months they died. Now their children say that the V accelerated their parents' death. As you understand, the experiment succeeded. 70% of the world's population has been V'd. Thus, my dear, in the near or far future, under the pretense of acting for the world's best interest, they may impose a global governance dictatorship. Modern technology will be the perfect weapon in the hands of a global dictator, who, by using a number assigned to each person, will be able to know, for example, what, he says, he uses Evgeny as an example, what he likes, his preferences, his health record, his, everything, his religious beliefs, how much money he has. So to implement their plans, they must have people dossiered. Well, that's exactly what the ADL, Jonathan Greenblatt, just said on that video. We dossiered. Isn't that interesting? Must have people dossiered so they can monitor them. And that's exactly what is happening right now. Right now. That's what Jonathan Greenblatt said, the ADL representative just said on that video that Kim shared. Okay, Doesn't that strike you that they've been doing this for decades, promoting and imposing a uniform way of life across the length and breadth of the globe? In other words, the way an American kid lives his life daily, lives his daily life, a Cypriot kid should live it too. Yeah. Yep, exactly. And that's been spread around the globe, the American culture, for many decades. And it's a rotting one. So it's not good. I know people think, oh, America is great. Well, not really. However, the primary concern for Orthodox Christians should not be what will happen if technology falls into the hands of Satanist Antichrist dictatorships. And he gets into this why, and I'm going to bring in that towards the end. So he's talking about that in Romania there lived an Orthodox confessor. He spent 20 years in the prisons of Ceausescu, terrible person, for his Orthodox faith. His name was Saint Justin Parvu. He reposed in 2013. In one of his books, see footnote 2, he describes the implication of modern digital technology, artificial intelligence, etc., which Trump's friend Elon Musk, a worshiper of and has defiled. Saint Justin, even before Elon Musk and every other masked figure surfaced, prophesied and foresaw that very soon, by 2030, artificial intelligence will surpass human intelligence. That is, the prophecy of the speechless and the dumb governing people, once spoken by Saint Cosmas of Anatolia, will become reality. It is possible for Orthodox Christians who are concerned about what I'm saying not to read this book. Is it possible that you're not going to read this book? I'm going to need to find this book. Should we not watch what is happening around us, especially technological developments related to the human body? And he goes on one hand, figures like Musk and Trump during the virus era were against the V's. On the other, they are in favor of human implants. They all want humanity to become a directed robot. Half human, half technology. For humans to become unable to discern what benefits and what harms their existence. Yeah, again, want to take away people's free will, which is Antichrist, against God. Yeah, Antichrist is in place of God. But I'm just saying it is against God to take away try to take away people's free will and ability to discern these things. To be able to discern good from evil, as I just said. And so a time will come. This is what St. Justin said. A time will come when only those who experience the grace of God will be able to discern good from evil, which is why it's really important that we need to look out for that, be discerning. At this moment, the world's two giants, Trump and Putin, give the impression that the rivalry between them will shift fields and move to the Middle East. Beyond all this, however, the most crucial question these individuals must answer is, which God do they believe in? What is their stance toward all these things being planned by all these people who want to see the construction of the metahuman? Otherwise, God's intervention will be particularly catastrophic for Russians, Europeans, Americans, Chinese, and the Jays alike. And what was Metropolitan's answer to what we should be doing? He said the most important thing is to be at the Divine Liturgy. The energy's there. They help your soul. Holy Communion is paramount. Keeping to our prayer regimen, repentance, fasting, all of that, if you can fast. My blood sugar doesn't allow me to do much, but if you can, yes. So, those are the things he says. Attending the Divine Liturgy, the Holy Communion, prayers, repentance, fasting. And I'm sure almsgiving's in there, but he didn't mention that, but we're supposed to do that as Christians, right? So anyway, I wanted to share all that with you. I hope it was edifying. I hope it was informative and helpful. Just being aware, as we said, this is an important thing of what's going on. The 2026 could be the year of the global conflict starting, as he called the Great War. So let's keep an eye out and continue to do our practices as Orthodox Christians with sincerity, with zeal, with meaning, and with hope. Thanks so much for watching, for all your support. Please click that notification bell if you haven't done that, so you can get my videos right when they come out. Thanks so much.